I'm so excited for our first award. That's why we're all here. I'm not introducing the first award, but I probably wouldn't be here without this guy, his club, his family. I passed at the Comedy Cellar in 1987 when I was 7. And it has been what I call home. I walk in there and I feel like I am with my family. And no better person to present this year's Entertainment Award. Someone I don't think we'd ever want to silence. The one, the only, the handsome, the talented, and the hilarious, Colin Quinn!
Thank you, Judy. Oh, I have a challenge following that film, but it's a real edge of the seat thing. I didn't see a film about sex. It was that boring before, but all right. Well, what do you care? It's from 1974. Listen, it's great to be here at the Tribeca rooftop. I like it's convenient to get here. That's the best thing about this place. And it's a warm room. You got to give it that much. It's really got the natural warmth of it. It's an Apple store in the daytime, so we have to leave right after that. I'm here to present this to Noam. Noam really puts his money where his mouth is, by which I mean his business, literally, because every couple of years, a self-appointed moral auditor comes by and tries to see if they can intimidate the Comedy Cellar into falling to line with whatever their worldview is. And instead of capitulating or equivocating or apologizing, Noam invites them to be on his podcast and discuss it. And if they're a comedian, he lets them perform at the club because he really believes in the power of discussion and the examination of ideas and the sanctity of conversation. He has an almost idealistic innocence in the belief in the mutual search for truth through discourse. He's very civilized for these times, especially. He never resorts to insult or threats, even though that's basically what comedy is, but he stands by his convictions. Noam understands that comedians can't be held to the same standards as elected officials, or will be reduced to only puns and dad jokes. And speaking of dads, I know his father would be proud of this moment because he was very much the same way and a little more hot-tempered, but neither father nor son would allow themselves or their employees to be bullied. So I'm proud to present the NCAC Entertainment Award to my friend Noam Dworman.
All right. Thank you, Colin. Anyone who knows the Comedy Cellar knows that more than any other single figure, you have been responsible for our success. I felt that way. My father felt that way. We love you. Thank you, Colin. While I'm at it, I have to thank my beautiful wife, Juanita, Puerto Rican, by the way, was not offended at Tony Hinchcliffe. My 4 beautiful children, represented tonight by my daughter, Mila, who at 12 binge-watched every season of South Park. When I die, the kids are under orders to carry on the Cellar tradition, to protect the right of comedians to say whatever they want, however they want to say it. Colin mentioned my father. My father would be very, very happy tonight. My memory of him is all arguing. Arguing at the dinner table, arguing with friends, arguing with comedians, screaming at Jon Stewart, screaming at Bill Burr, screaming at Greg Giraldo, probably screaming at Judy, I'm sure. No? Yes. And if the comedians weren't up to speed on something he was talking about, he'd show up with a box filled with like a dozen copies of a book to hand out as homework. And then he'd scream at them some more after they read that. So that's what I was raised on. A few days before his death, he commented to me that being able to spend his life speaking freely, shooting the shit with the funniest, smartest, and most talented people in the world, had been the sweetest life he could have imagined. And this has become my life too. I had wanted to come in tonight and cause some trouble because I'm worried about the free speech landscape. I wanted to talk about how the marketplace of ideas is kind of not working out so well sometimes, and how sunlight is not turning out to be that best disinfectant that we always assumed it would be. I was going to mention how I'm worried about polls that show Americans under 30 are about as likely to trust information on social media as they are to trust national newspapers and organizations. That Holocaust deniers like Dan Bilzerian and Jake Shields have millions of followers. I was going to say that at times I worry I sound like a stubborn Second Amendment defender refusing to grapple with school shootings, and that our enemies might use all of this against us as a successful argument to implement censorship such as we're seeing in the UK today. But I scrapped that speech. I decided instead that since I'm receiving the Free Speech Defender and Entertainment Award, I should treat you, at least as long as you can tolerate it, to a few excerpts from real customer complaint emails. This is the bloody reality on the front lines of the fight. Okay, so I'll start one. Judy, you tell me if there's too many of them, all right? Anyway, hi. I had the worst comedy experience of my life at your venue last night. A disgusting person, I won't call him a comedian because he's not humorous, took the stage and spent the first few minutes of his act disrespecting the 2-year-old child who was murdered by the alligator at Disney World. He even cracked jokes about his parents and his funeral. I have never in my life been so offended and repulsed by someone. I would expect all human beings would be offended by a sicko making jokes about a 2-year-old baby's tragic death, such as his mother probably said, "See you later, alligator," at the funeral. What a complete and utter pathetic excuse for a human. That was one. You want to hear another one? You won't be surprised to learn that for some people are very sensitive about racial jokes. This is just a typical one. It's time for white guy comics to stop falling back on racist accents to try to be funny. It's unoriginal and offensive. I wish I had been able to leave during his set, but the place is set up to keep you trapped until the end, which is truly scary and unsafe for people with disabilities and those being harmed by racist comedians. That's what we go through. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is a good one. You never know where the problem will come from. I don't know if you guys heard this. Last year, we caused an international incident when Singaporean comedian Jocelyn Chia made jokes about the Malaysian jet that went missing in 2014. 100,000 Malaysians attacked our Google reviews, driving us down from a 4.7 to a 1.3 in a matter of hours. This is true. It became so serious that Singapore's foreign minister had to issue a public apology to the people of Malaysia. So here's one email. I must have gotten who knows how many. Here's the email. I am citizen of blessed land and country called Malaysia. Our country have around 37 million people with 5G internet connection. Brace yourself. I know it sounds like I'm making fun of an Asian accent. I'm not. That's just the way it's written, all right? So take it easy. Islam is a God-made religion for all, based on authentic knowledge and correct understanding. It draws clear guidelines for people who want to make jokes for fun. Disrespectful, humiliating, degrading, and looking down jokes won't do that. Please take necessary action to educate Jocelyn Chia on being more sensitive. Let's go through a few more. Heightism. I did not enjoy Kathy's performance. I felt uncomfortable when she made fun of several male audience members for being short. You never know what someone is going through that day. I also felt very uncomfortable when she put me on the spot and made fun of me for not laughing at her jokes about sex. No, I am not Mormon, as she speculated. I'm going to skip the one about Israel and Palestine. I'll only get to the last line. The last line is, I'm a proud Zion, because the last line doesn't seem believable to me. I'm a proud Zionist Jew, and it just made me want to throw up and leave. I was with 5 other Jews who were speechless. All right, almost done. This is one. Even anti-vax jokes set people up. My husband and I have been fans of Comedy Cellar for many years. However, this time featured a long segment on the ineffectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine. As a medical doctor who has spent many years fighting the devastating effects of COVID and working towards vaccination efforts to keep our community safe, I found this distasteful, and I would like to ask for a full refund. Okay, I think, you want to hear the homophobia one? All right. There's a couple here. We had a great time until you let a so-called celebrity comic Eddie onto the stage to spew homophobic and transphobic slurs at audience members. To be honest, I felt unsafe. Now this is the common, I felt unsafe. I understand having a thick skin and accepting different kinds of jokes and viewpoints, but freedom of speech I respect. Hate speech is illegal. He was bigoted, racist, misogynistic, and honestly, just not funny. His performance could literally be classified as a hate crime. Otherwise, great location, atmosphere, and drinks. So help me God. And of course, this is one of the best ones. I am someone who is not easily offended and has a good sense of humor, but I don't care if Judy Gold is a lesbian, she's still homophobic. All right, there's one more. I can't read it. I was not going to say it at all, but Judy said there's no holds barred. So I'm going to ask Judy to come read it because I can't bear to read it. And then I'll just wrap it up. Oh, okay, here, Judy. I don't think you're homophobic. I changed the name.
I hate gay people, by the way. Okay.
It starts here.
All right. I'm not homophobic. Max is clearly talented on stage with mic work and crowd interaction and has great energy. But sitting through an entire show with endless jokes about sucking more dicks than anyone else, swallowing gallons of semen, and being jealous of younger men's assholes because his asshole is abused and destroyed isn't remotely funny. Please refund.
All right, so let me just wrap it up. I always respond. I respond to every customer email, and it's something along these lines. I don't approve of any comedian's material before they take the stage, but even if I had known he was going to say it, I would not have intervened. Stand-up comedy by nature lives close to the line. People don't like to admit they were wrong. Humor, which has always played a serious part in our national debate, brings us gently downstream to a change of mind. It can illustrate nuance in a way that explicit statements cannot. What one person considers thought-provoking, another considers irreverently funny, and another considers unacceptably offensive. It is impossible to lay down an objective standard that everyone would agree upon. And it is impossible to decide what speech is acceptable and what should be forbidden. Either it's funny or it's not, and that is to be decided by the audience, not me. Having said all that, it's no pleasure for me that you left upset. I'm happy to offer you a refund or to invite you as our guest to another show that you might like better. Thank you very much to the NCAC, Judy, Josh, and Lee, and all of you. I really appreciate this award. Thank you.